Hello everyone, welcome back to the Wolfpack. Now today's video is going to be a super quick one. I want to talk to you about two things. One is going to be an update to my scaling system. I'm going to be going through a ton of reviews back to back, getting through my shelf of shame if you've seen the past couple videos. So as I'm getting through those videos and filming content on it, I want to push out some reviews. But I do want to update them because one of you mentioned a really good point in that my review system scaling thing is a little bit confusing, and I do want to demuddle that and figure that out. Second thing I want to mention is I also want to make this video kind of like a reference video. So if you're new to the channel and you like the reviews that I do and you're interested in knowing how I review games, I also want to make it like a point of reference so I can kind of just tell you, hey, this is the type of games that I like and these are the factors that go into my review as well. So with that said, if you do enjoy my reviews and you like what you see here, please consider subscribing and liking the video too. I know all those algorithm things seem kind of monotonous or they seem like they don't make an impact, but they really do, especially when everyone does it together. So that helps me a ton, especially knowing that it also takes me like 5 to 7 days to put together these reviews too, on average. Sometimes if I'm like faster on the other days, then I can usually get them out in like 2 to 3 days, but usually it takes me an entire day just to do B-roll and another day to do A-roll and another day to do C-roll. So if you really enjoy my reviews, I also have channel memberships now too, which is $5 a month. But other than that, let's go ahead and get started with the scaling system. Now, before I had a 10-point scale, and then I moved on to a 5-point scale because we actually worked through this together with this scaling system actually with all of you for the past couple years. So now I still want to keep the 5-point system, but what I think is less confusing, because if you see my past review scales at the end, I will have like a percent for each category. And it's kind of confusing because like, what do you mean by 70% of, you know, worker placement uniqueness? Like that makes no sense to me either, now that I think about it. So in order to make this as simple as possible, I still want to keep 5 categories because I always like to highlight 5 things about a game, good or bad. And let's say I highlight combat, for instance, for one game, not to give a premonition to what's going to happen here. But let's say I mentioned combat for one category. Then I'll give that category a specific rating, like 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. And I'll do that for all 5 categories. And then at the very end, I'll also average them and then give a point scale depending on what it is. So like 3.4, 3.8, whatever the numbers end up being after you average the numbers across the 5 scales. With that in mind, a 5 for my review system is like a must-have game. Like this is a staple in my collection. This is a game that you should absolutely have if you enjoy that genre of gaming. So if I give a worker placement game a 5 out of 5, then this is definitely a worker placement that you should try if you like worker placement games. So that is number 5, is something that I think is just absolutely groundbreaking. Now number 4, I would say is still a must try. If you like that specific genre of games, it's definitely something that you should absolutely experience for yourself. It is amazing, it's fun, it's definitely something that I would keep in my collection as well. Still a staple. One main difference between a 4 and a 5 in the system is that a 4 usually has 1 or 2, maybe 3 finicky mechanics that you should be wary of. Now moving on to a 3, this is something that you might want to try. It is not a must-have and it's definitely a try before you buy type of game. So with that said, a majority of my reviews will lie between 3 and 4. I very rarely give out 5s because that's like a near perfect game. And I don't have fun filming anything below a 3 unless like I spent a ton of time with it and I really want to make content about it and there's like a point of discussion. There are a lot of things I do want to talk about it and maybe it does have potential to be better, then that's when I would cover 2 level games. 1s I'm never gonna cover ever. Hopefully, I never wanna cover 1 because it's not fun for me to film. 1s are like, don't even bother trying to play this game. It's sloppy, it's messy, and it just, don't waste your time. So that is my review scale from 1 through 5. Now, in terms of the type of reviewer that I am, let me know in the comments below though. I kind of want to know what you all think with the type of reviewer that I am. You can go and tell me. Honestly, you would know me better than I know myself. I'm trying to be conscious of the type of reviewer I am. One huge goal that I am trying to make for this year though, increasing my, aside from always upping my production value and editing and all that good stuff, is that I do want a lot more analytical substance to my reviews too. I don't want, like for instance, it's the worst feeling, and you know this too, when you have a highly produced game with amazing miniatures, but like the gameplay sucks. I don't want that to be the what my channel is known for. So I don't want to just have things look nice, but not have meaty, good analysis and a lot of time spent in the details talking about the game as well. Now that is one thing I'm gonna try to do a lot, especially with the upcoming reviews, is to give you a very interesting insight and perspective on the games and why I feel, why I feel like I like a certain aspect of it and why I feel like I don't like a certain aspect of it, and what parts can improve, what parts are just amazing and don't need improvement at all. With that said, the type of games that I like are worker placement. I also enjoy area control games. I'm looking over here again because my shelf is over here. I also love asymmetric player powers. I love engine builders. That doesn't mean I'm not going to review like party games or games outside of that scope, but those are usually the ones that I tend to favor. Ones that I will usually avoid though are roll and writes. Jen, I'm thinking about you here. I'm sorry. Me and Sam are both sorry for this, okay? But roll and writes are ones I typically don't review, and I also am not the biggest fan of tile placement games. The only exception to that right now that I have talked about is Tank Garden because I love that game. But those are the categories that I like and the categories that I typically don't like. But I also wanted to mention something that I think is important too, is that for combat games, I'm very critical of them. I always love complexity in combat. It's always a huge letdown for me if combat is lackluster. So make sure you know that when I am reviewing these combat-oriented games. 3 more quick things I wanted to note. The majority of my player count is going to be between 2 to 3 players. Usually it's 2, but I will always disclose that information in the review. If not, I'll update it. If I happen to forget, I'll update it in the description box as well. And the minimum that any game gets played on my channel for review will be 3 plays. Second thing, I kind of talked about this when I was talking about the review scaling system that I updated, but a majority of the games that I review are games that I enjoy or that I spent a lot of time with and I have enough talking points to talk about it, even if it wasn't my favorite game either. But with that said, I still try to be respectful of the way I present my points. I always try to be mindful of the people that went behind producing this game. No one wants to produce a bad game, so I always try to be mindful when I'm talking about stuff like that, unless like it is super critical and it's something that I feel like should be mentioned for the viewer, you, to know before buying the game or playing the game in general. Because all my reviews, even though I say I like this and I like that and I don't like this, the goal here is to give you information so you make the most informed decision as possible when buying games. That's why I do all the cool B-roll stuff too. Yes, I like filming and all that, but I still want you to see different aspects of it. That's why I started my channel to begin with too, when I started doing reviews, because I was very frustrated that I couldn't see the components that I wanted to see getting into the game. Mostly it was like talking headshots. I want to show you all the different physical aspects of the game, whether I like it or not, with B-roll and C-roll on top of complementing that with the analysis as well. And the last point I wanted to mention to wrap up this video and start working on this Lords of Hellas one is that I just want you to know that I genuinely love what I do. All these reviews, they're not a single one of them are sponsored. And it takes me a ton of time to get through these. These are all strictly passion projects, and I just love doing this. I love filming, I love playing games, of course, and I love that you're here. I love that you're giving me your time, and it means a lot, and I want to respect it by giving you the best quality that I possibly can, both in substance and in visualness. So with that said, I'm excited to launch this new set of reviews, new-ish set of reviews going forward. And if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. I'll keep this as like an active forum type thing. So when other people reference this video in the future, they can always come back and look at all the comments as well if you have any questions about the types of reviews that I do. And with that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the Lords of Hellas video.